Peace. In this video, I want to talk to y'all briefly about delusion and psychosis, right? And if you look both of those words up, they actually both mental disorders, right? That affect the way that you perceive reality, right? That affect the way that you view the world and what's really going on, right? And the reason that I want to talk about that is because it is so important in the times specifically now that we are living in, especially in the age of the internet and social media. It's very, very, very important that we discuss this. And I'm not taking no shots at anybody. I shouldn't even have to say these things, right? But if the shoe fits, you must wear it. It's the only way we're going to get better. If you feel like anything that I say is personal, then take it personal and do something about it. I don't mean beat me up when you catch me. That just means do something about it in the sense of changing yourself and your behavior. Now, I'm not here to diagnose nobody because I'm not qualified for that. I'm just here trying to have a conversation so that people can reflect on their own behaviors. So when you hear me talk about certain things, it's very important that the first thing that you do is not try to find, oh my God, this sounds just like Ashley. Oh, this sounds just like Tyrone, Tyreek. Don't do that. Just look at yourself and see how this may apply to you. If it does. And if it don't, just let it fly. Maybe share it. Somebody else might benefit from it. So anyway, let's get to the conversation, right? I feel like we are living today in a time where people's perception of reality has been altered, especially by the internet, especially by filters, especially by validation, especially by likes, especially by comments, especially by lies, especially by a whole bunch of things goes into this delusion that we're kind of like dealing with. But life is about balance, right? It's about that's why we have a system of checks and balances. That's the idea, right, of checks and balances within the government. Not saying that it works, but the whole idea is that when somebody gets too powerful, or meaning when you in the instance that I'm trying to use is when your head gets too big, somebody is supposed to be there to remind you, to kind of like humble you, and not in a way that is trying to come at you, but in a way that is like to kind of like keep you in the balance. We don't want you to be too low and pessimistic and low self-esteem about yourself. But there is also a sense of getting your head too big and being delusional about what's actually going on. So everything needs a balance. Sometimes your balance come in the form of a friend that reminds you, like, girl, like, you tripping, or yo, bro, like, you bugging out, bro. We need that. We need somebody who holds a mirror up to remind us to come back to reality. So this is what I'm trying to get at. There is a lot of people, because of all of these things that I just mentioned, that feel that they are deserving. Excuse me. That they feel like they are deserving of something. And deserving sounds a little, I don't know. I don't really like the word deserving because it makes you feel like somebody owes you something. It makes you feel like you are entitled to something, which I don't believe in any sort. I think everything is a blessing, right? Waking up is a blessing, but there's some people who believe they are entitled to wake up the next day. Like God owes me this. But I don't want to get into the whole God and all of that stuff, right? What I'm saying is some people feel like they are deserving. Now, when you're deserving, that means that you are worthy of something. You're worthy of something, right? And being worthy of something means that you have the qualities and the qualifications to meet the criteria of whatever, right? For example, if you go apply for a job, right? If you meet the qualifications for the job, then you are worthy of the position. If you don't meet the qualifications for a specific job, you don't meet the criteria to get this job or to have this job. But you have some people who will say, I'm still deserving of that job. No, you're not. You don't even match. You're not worthy of the job. You don't match the qualifications, and deserving means you're worthy. So let me give you another example of this. There's some people who say, I deserve I deserve a good man. I deserve a good woman. I deserve this job. I deserve this promotion. I deserve all of these things, and they don't meet the criteria or are worthy because they don't have the qualifications to even get those things that they claim that they are worthy of. So you follow where I'm going? They don't even meet the criteria to be deserving of those things. And this is where delusion starts to come in, right? And this is why mirrors are important, because, for example, in your mind, you feel like you're worthy. And I'm not telling nobody to feel less than themselves. I'm not. I'm just saying that there is a balance. Your head can get too big. There is such a thing. Let's just be real. I'm not trying. I don't want nobody to have low self-esteem and be low and feel like shit about themselves. But you have to realize when you are flying way above the radar, you have to come back. You have to be balanced. Everything is about balance. And this is why mirrors are important. You can feel that you look good. In your mind, you can tell yourself, I look like the shit. But when you look at the mirror, you start to see that maybe you got a stain on your clothes. Maybe it doesn't really look like what you thought it looked like in your mind. So mirrors are important. And like I said, there are some people who are trying to destroy you. Don't take advice from those people. And you got to be able to decipher who are the people that mean well and are trying to hold you accountable, and who are the people who are trying to destroy you and tell you the wrong things. That's your job. But anyway, yeah, the mirror shows you your flaws, right? It shows you that. And I think that's why it's important to have, again, system of checks and balances. I'll give you another example. When you go to the pawn shop to try to sell something to people, I could go to the pawn shop and try to sell this remote, right? To me, this remote is worth $500. So I tell the person at the pawn shop, I want $500 for it. When I get to the pawn shop, he says, yo, that's only worth 200, maybe 250, if that. To me, again, it's not worth that. We're just using this hypothetical as my worth. My worth is $500. That's what I deserve. That's what I feel like it is. I deserve this. I'm not settling. I'm not taking nothing else. Then you go from one pawn shop to another pawn shop to another pawn shop, and they all telling you, no, bro. No, sis. We're not giving you $500. That shit is not worth. You not worth $500. You get what I'm going with this? I know it sounds a little crazy, but we got to be realistic for a second. That shit is not worth $500. You're only getting $250. At what point do we say to ourselves, maybe we're flying too high? At what point do we say to ourselves, maybe I don't meet the qualifications and the criteria? And again, we don't want to make it seem like people are an inanimate object. I'm not trying to say that. I'm just trying to get you to think. At what point do we say to ourselves, you know what? Am I really worthy of the $500? Am I really worthy of the things that I claim that I deserve if I don't have the certain qualifications? I'll give you another example, and this might be my last example. Some men feel like they deserve leadership, that they deserve submission, that they deserve a certain position. And they do not, because you're not worthy. You do not meet the criteria and the qualifications for this position. So you are not worthy of the position. The same thing happens with some women. Some women feel like they are worthy of being wifed up. They are worthy of having this man, this traditional man, or they are worthy of whatever they feel like they are worthy of. And you don't have the qualities. You're not deserving. You don't have the wife qualities. So why would you get wifed? You don't have certain qualities. So I'm saying that to say this. I think social media has aided to our delusion and our psychosis in how we perceive the real world and what's really happening. So You start to hear people say a lot of things like, I'm not settling for less. Okay. And this is where the delusion and reality sets in. Sometimes you're not qualified and you need to change your behavior and you need to change your attitude and you need to change certain things so that you become qualified and that you can get the things that you deserve. Does that make sense? Because deserving is being worthy of. And if you're not worthy of, if somebody doesn't see your worth, and again, sometimes it might be the other person, but sometimes you got to ask yourself, is it me? And there's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't mean somebody's gaslighting you. It doesn't mean you're delusional. It doesn't mean that. It's just you reflecting and saying the same reason why we look in the mirror to make sure, it's not just in our head. We want to see that we are seeing that I look good. It's the same way that you got to ask yourself, do I have the qualifications and the credentials to get this position that I claim that I deserve? And that's the message, man. Hopefully I said something that's beneficial. Hopefully, some people didn't get too triggered and got to watch the whole video. And hopefully I said something that's beneficial and get us looking at ourselves and get us working on our qualifications so that we meet the criteria to get what we deserve. Let me know what y'all thoughts are in the comment section. Like, comment, subscribe, share. Till next time. Peace.